hard. People spending a lot of their waking hours thinking about something that they aren't even doing in the moment. For me, a lot of times I'm at home thinking about work and work thinking about home. So you never actually feel present in a moment. You're always feeling split, which can leave you missing out on the pleasurable moments of life.
You guys seen in the movies where a serial killer's coming and they're searching for the keys and the keys are right there. Everybody's like, the keys is right there, right? So when you're in that panic mode, you're missing things that are right in front of you. So we have to slow our minds down, slow our breathing down so we can be in the moment and not miss things that will cost us later.
Work through those stressors, no matter how big or how small that they are. Acknowledge that they're there and not to just let them go and say, oh, it'll get better, or oh, it'll eventually work itself out. A lot of people fall into that trap. It leads to even health problems, high blood pressure, and other ailments physically.
When's the last time you truly felt present in a conversation, a moment, or even a meal? Are you physically there but mentally somewhere else? Are you exhausted from overthinking and your mind won't slow down? Well, in this talk today, we're going to be going over how to address that. My name is Taekwon Jordan, co-founder of Dash Wellness.
Hi, my name is Carlin Humphrey, also co-founder of Dash Wellness.
I'm Carolyn Palmer Wallace, also co-founder of Dash Wellness.
All right, so how it's gonna work, we're gonna go over 3 facts pertaining to our topic, and we're gonna just break it down, what we see, what some solutions you may find. So we'll dive in right now. All right, so the first fact is people spend nearly 40% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. So Carlin, what do you think about that?
So I think it makes a lot of sense. I know when I'm working, right, and there's a conversation going on that maybe I'm not even really a part of, my mind can drift. And I think a lot of times that's because I'm thinking about my top priorities and my top anxieties, right? And I mean, I think it's my brain kind of telling me, hey, like, we need to pay attention to this, or this thing is bugging me. And ultimately, it can be very distracting whenever, whether I'm in the workplace or, just having a regular conversation. So I think it's important to acknowledge that we do have these, I would say, stressors. And in order to kind of alleviate that, it's just to identify what they are and then keep working at, solving them. And hopefully, whenever you're just thinking about like, okay, this is totally not what I'm supposed to be locked into, well, you can use Dash Wellness. We have a lot of great techniques that can kind of give you a mental reset and, just alleviate some of those distractions.
Palmer?
Yeah, that stat really hit me hard. People spending a lot of their waking hours thinking about something that they aren't even doing in the moment. For me, a lot of times I'm at home thinking about work and work thinking about home, thinking about the baby, thinking about whatever it is when I'm not actually doing that task. And so you never actually feel present in a moment. You're always feeling split, which can leave you missing out on the cherishable moments of life, which is insane, right? What are we doing if we're not living in the moment? It's always important to stay mindful for that reason. Picking one thing that's intentional to really be present for can help you deal with that. And so I would encourage you to make sure that you are taking a second to look at what you're doing and be mindful in that moment so that you can really appreciate it and give yourself a little release from, the next day's anxiety or the next task's anxieties.
Yeah, and with this stat, so the overall episode is mindfulness, and mindfulness is being present in the moment. Oftentimes, I'm guilty, you're working, you're not even present, really, you're just trying to get things done, just get through it, and oftentimes I'll be walking to my car after work, and I'm like, okay, it's a nice day outside, but, I'm trying to get home, busy. And so when we're so focused on the next thing, that's where anxiety could creep in. Like you said, anxiety is like a fear of things that hasn't even happened yet. So when you're constantly running on that, it's not good because you're never in the moment, and it not just hurts yourself of experiencing life in the present, but it hurts your family and loved ones.
Yeah, I mean, I know I just had a family reunion, right? First time seeing a lot of my cousins in a few years, and I remember the last day with them, I was thinking, oh, I gotta go back to work, and I had taken off a couple of days, and the main thing on my mind was, man, I'm about to come back to so much work. And I couldn't even really enjoy my last day with my family because I was just kind of feeling overwhelmed even before I knew what I had to do, coming back. But that's just kind of one example how it can be so easy to fixate on what I have to do in the future, and sometimes it's even worried about stuff that happened in the past, and that kind of derails what we're trying to do within the present. So
yeah, but as you said, it's very easy to fixate. It's also very easy to rectify that, right? Ask yourself small questions in that moment. How do I feel? What do I hear? What do I see? And that can immediately take your mind off it and kind of redirect you to the present moment.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a human thing to think about the future, right? If you're always in the now, it's kind of dangerous, right? With the, ancestors and stuff, you got to think ahead and things. But with technology and social media, I feel like it's even more prevalent now, thinking ahead, because you got so many tasks, responsibilities, things to do. So, yeah. All right, so the next step is chronic distraction is directly linked to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. So Palmer, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, chronic distraction being directly linked makes sense to stress and anxiety. And it may not even be the task that you are so worried about that is actually causing the stress, but just the fact that you are thinking about it, right? Mm-hmm. It's so messed up, but it really does influence you in that way. The truth is, being stressed about what is to come, it's really not a badge of honor, right? We don't want to be feeling that. You should, though, try to focus and realize when you are mentally overloaded, and take that as a warning sign, right? That something has to be reset. Take that opportunity to level set. Because again, it's probably not that thing that's stressing you out, but you're worrying about that thing that's stressing you out. So taking the time to maybe do like a minute or 90-second reset. I know we have a lot of tools on Dash Wellness that can help folks take the opportunity to reset and really practice mindfulness. To step away from your screen, unclench your jaw. You may not even know that you're doing it in that moment, right? And just breathe. We have really great breathing exercises through Dash Wellness that I know have certainly worked for me and have helped me.
Yeah, and just to that point, I think when I think of chronic distraction, it's almost like a sickness, right? And whenever you don't treat a sickness and it just keeps getting worse and worse, then it's really the same thing, right? With the stress, compiling whenever we're not really focused on dealing with those stressors that are coming up within our lives. So I think it's important to understand, hey, if this has been a consistent feeling that I've had for a while, it's time to deal with it. And, again, like Palmer was saying, we have a lot of tools that can go in and help you work through those stressors, no matter how big or how small that they are. But the important thing is just to, acknowledge that they're there and not to just let them go and say, oh, it'll get better, or, oh, it'll eventually work itself out. A lot of people fall into that trap, and I think, it ultimately can just feel overwhelming at a certain point, and people give up or shut down, or it leads to even health problems, high blood pressure, and other ailments physically. So, just making sure that we're taking care of our mind can also help take care of our body in the same manner.
Yeah. And when I see this, I look at different angles. You know, chronic distraction, you know, is directly linked to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. So when you have like, you know, you're not in the moment, you're thinking of so many things, your mind's swirling, you know, you feel like you're underwater, you're overwhelmed, and you know, we're saying to be more present, but you know, we're human. We got things to do. We got to pay bills. We got to, you know. So I'm not saying be a monk and just live in the moment, but you have to have that balance. And you know, we have different tools like to manage that stress. Right? If you're overwhelmed by what you have to do, maybe do some task listings and, you know, level of priority, things that you can push off, things that you can move around, and make your schedule in a way that you're not just constantly in a state of like panic. Like that's where disease, like you said, creeps in. When you're constantly in that fight or flight and you're always on edge, that's where stress builds up in your body. So
yeah. And you know, last point to that is I am huge into writing stuff down, right? When you can put it onto paper, whatever, and I'm huge into putting what my anxieties are, like what is the big thing that's on my plate right now, and just seeing it, you could be like, okay, I can work this, focus on this, take it out of my life, and then it's just, you know, crossing it off the list, and you just keep going down. And I think that's a, you know, really good technique that helps me, and I'm sure would help you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on to that, like the list, like if you're feeling something, like Carlin said, he writes it down, but ask yourself, why am I feeling like this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just keep asking why until you get to the root cause. Right? And then you can start to fix stuff. Because if you don't know why you're feeling like that, then, you know, you can't solve it. Mm-hmm. All right. So the third and last fact, just 10 minutes of mindfulness a day has been shown to reduce anxiety, improve focus, and increase emotional control. So Palmer, why do you think that is?
10 minutes of mindfulness a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to reiterate that because 10 minutes can seem like impossible, right? we're talking about the constant worries of life, and sometimes you don't even know when you have 10 minutes of free time to eat a bagel, you know what I mean? I just want to encourage everyone that, you know, it may feel impossible, but you don't need 10 perfect minutes, you just need 10 intentional minutes, right? And if that can look like anything, really, is what that means. So take the moment to check in with yourself. The more you check in, the less you spiral, you know, the less you'll snap. At least for me. I know I might need a second to think and calm down. But really, that 10 minutes, it could be 9.5 minutes, it could be 7 minutes. That is really giving yourself a chance to respond as opposed to react, right? So some ways that you can do that, you know, while your coffee is brewing, for example, do a quick breathing exercise. We have really nice quick breathing exercises, I know, through Dash Wellness. Before bed, think of things that you're grateful for. Take some time to meditate. We have excellent meditations as well that are, you know, tailored towards different stressors in life, so that, you know, that resource is available for everyone. And then, as Ty was saying earlier, check in. Why am I feeling this way? In industries, we call it the 5 whys, right? To get to a root cause. That is a proven method to investigate. Take the time to investigate yourself. Like, invest in yourself by investigating yourself, right? And make sure that you know yourself and your triggers and how to remedy those.
Yeah, no, I think this is my favorite stat, honestly. I use this pretty much every day so what I do is I will close my eyes and I will just think about, you know, positive thoughts, like all the good things that are about to come my way. And it just really helps me just get that, like I said before, that mental reset where, if I don't do this, I feel like I lose focus with whatever I'm doing, whether it's, a task at work, right? If I'm working hours on end, it's really easy for me to lose that, that focus and drive on what I'm supposed to be accomplishing. And so ultimately, I just, whether it's during my lunch break or whatever, I would just take 10 minutes, close my eyes, and not think about anything except for, what the good things are about to come my way. And so whether it's like, oh man, I got payday coming in 2 days, or oh man, I'm about to see my family, whatever the case may be, right? I just think about those things, and it really kind of gets me motivated and back into that focused mode to finish the day. So I literally just every single time I will lay down and I won't look at my computer. If somebody's pinging me, I will respond. That is my time, that is my 10 minutes, and I stick to it, and I feel so much better, and I feel way more productive as well. So.
Yeah, when I see this, that's just 10 minutes a day, would it reduce anxiety and improve your focus and stuff like that? Just think to yourself, if I put aside 10 minutes a day, just imagine you put aside 10 minutes a day, you can reduce your stress about your finances, about your relationships, about, what tomorrow brings. And in our last episode, we had, we talked about people are on their phone for over 2 hours a day. That's on the low end. So, and it's just 10 minutes. And, some people are scrolling on TikTok and, but that's a quick dopamine that won't solve your problems. And, so just breathing. And, breathing, it lowers your heart rate. So when you're stressed, when you're tense, your heart rate's going up, lower your heart rate, you're breathing, and that'll just make your mind calm, just calm you down so you can focus on the now, the present. Because have you guys seen in the movies where a serial killer's coming and they're searching for the keys and the keys are right there, everybody's like, the keys is right there, right? So when you're in that panic mode, you're missing things that are right in front of you.
Yeah.
So we have to slow our minds down, slow our breathing down so we can be in the moment and not miss things that will cost us later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're going to move. We talked about some solutions, but we're just going to wrap it up. So the first stat was 40% of people, 48% of waking hours, people are worried about tomorrow or other than the present. So what are some solutions people can do, Palmer?
Yeah, like I said earlier, ask yourself questions, check in with yourself, right? Investigate yourself so that, you are investing in yourself. Again, you can tack on some of those mindfulness exercises with things that you're doing in the moment, right? You're making coffee, instead of thinking about work, just take a second to say, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? Do a breathing exercise, think of yourself, invest in yourself.
Yeah. Again, another thing that I do is I have a today's to-do list, right? So I write down all the stuff that I want to get or try to get done today, whether it's 6 items, 8 items, whatever, right? I go in and I'm like, hey, if I can get this stuff done today, it's a good day, right? I was successful. And so that really helps me focus on, today's world, in the present now, what I need to do. And I like to do it step by step, hey, I want to try to knock this thing out versus my highest priority item. So get that knocked out, reduce this amount, stress throughout the day. And so yeah, I really just focus on today by writing down what you want to get accomplished. And you just keep doing that consistently, and you'll find that it really benefits you in the future as well. So yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah. So for me, when I see this stat too, a solution that there's a lot of solutions that you could do. But for me, it's being intentional and even mindful listening. So how many times have you met someone new and they tell you your name and you walk away and you're like, what? So I had that a lot because, I'm in the healthcare field, I'm meeting different people and stuff. And so what I'll do, to be more mindful and present, when they tell me your name, I'm like, wow, that's your name. I'm like, okay, what was it again? I just ask it again. Okay, how do you spell that? And then you could kind of really grasp that. So maybe associate their name with something to remember and be more present. Because many a times I had a conversation with someone, I forgot their name, they walked down the hall, I'm like, hey. So that's just something you could be to be more present. Hey, are you a busy professional juggling work, family, responsibilities, and you look around and you're putting everyone first but yourself, and you're physically and mentally drained? Well, Dash Wellness is for you. We have solutions for stress, anxiety, depression, and even losing weight along the way. Click the link in the description and get your free 2-week trial today. So the second one, chronic distractions linked to stress, anxiety, and depression. So how can we have one solution that you guys would do to get rid of that?
Yeah, I mean, I say tackle your highest stressor, right? I mean, that's usually the thing that's constantly on your mind, that's not going away. Identify what it is and then do whatever you have to do to ultimately knock that thing out, because it's not going away and it's just going to keep eating at you until you decide to deal with it, right? You got to treat the wound. So ultimately, just go in and get it done however you need to. And again, we have techniques that will help you, because it can be very uncomfortable. A lot of times those, whatever that top stressor is, it's something we don't want to deal with for a reason. It's tough, it's hard, right? But that's why we have resources that can help you out in getting through that barrier, that a lot of times is a mental barrier, right? We have things that can help you kind of knock that thing down and take it out. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, one thing that works for me that could work for other folks as well. A lot of times, I'll just use an example during my workday, right? I typically have several meetings during the day, and when I'm out of one meeting, I'm thinking about the next one. But what I do, I practice, a 30-second to 60-second pause to compile any sort of action items, maybe get a couple of them done if they're quick emails or what have you, and then they are completely removed from my mind. And that really is addressing, what I've just talked about in the moment, or problems that need resolution in the moment. And I take that time and I try to be intentional about dealing with the problem at hand, so that I'm not, instead using that time to be anxious over the next meeting or what I have tomorrow or what have you. So that's something that I put into practice. I'm sure, someone out there could relate to that method as well.
Yeah. You viewers watching, you're going through different things in life, different stages of life, work, family, you may have a newborn kid and, you're trying to figure things out, and you're still trying to be present, and, it's hard to stay present because you're always distracted by different things. And so you both said some great things, like making a list, taking a pause. I like to do a little bit of both. So you guys really answered it. So let's see, we have and also with that last thing about being distracted, all the facts that we listed, we have tools and resources that address those issues. It's tough in this day and age. We have access to a whole bunch of information, right? But access to a whole bunch of information is useless if it's not applicable in your daily life. So we try to make it that you can use and stuff like that.
Yeah, luckily for our viewers and even for us, right, utilizing the Dash Wellness app is that we've taken the time to parse through that plethora of information. And so let us do that work so that you can focus on you and invest in yourself and your mental health and mindfulness.
Yeah, because and just whatever you do, don't downplay these things, right? I know how many of you guys have heard of a person saying, "Oh, that's just my ADHD," right? Like, in reality, it's it's not ADHD necessarily for most people. It's just they're distracted and never really thought about how to deal with those distractions. I think that's just the society that we were raised in. We weren't taught to necessarily focus on our mental state. So I think it's time for a change, and I think that's what we're trying to do is change the mindset. So.
Yeah, and there's different outlets that people use, like whether it's drugs, whether it's abuse or different things, and so it doesn't show up until it's like you're at that point where, okay, I have a problem. And so we created something that can be a pre-solution, or even if you're going through something, just give you tools and resources that you can use to better your life, your family's life. So if anybody doesn't have anything else to add,
I'm good.
You
Yeah.
good?
I'm good.
All right, so we will see you in our next episode. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
All right.